You'll know the bagel dough is ready when you can't properly host your cooking show because you're too out of breath from kneading it. Today's video is sponsored by Simple Truth and Kroger. Kroger makes eating plant-based foods enjoyable, accessible, and affordable, and now shopping plant-based is easier than ever with Simple Truth. Simple Truth has an expanded line of high-quality plant-based offerings available only at Kroger stores. You can order a pickup from your local Kroger family store, which for us is Ralph's, which is exactly what we did to make today's dish, our giant Nashville pizza bagel. We're making it all plant-based. We're gonna get some spicy Nashville hot chicken-style nuggets. There's so much deliciousness going on this pizza. Why are we wasting any more time? We've broken the recipe down to 3 distinct steps. You can follow right there, but we also got a full recipe in the description below. Let's get to it. We got a lot to do. New Simple Truth plant-based products include Emerge plant-based chickenless grinds, which is what we're using today. They also have salad dressings like the plant-based ranch we have here, and you know how much I love me a good ranch. There are tons of options, so make sure to check those out at your local Kroger family store. All right, so now we gotta start with our Nashville Hot Spice blend, and that all starts with brown sugar. So we're gonna go ahead and add the brown sugar to that. Nashville hot chicken spice tends to have a much sweeter palate than a lot of people give it credit for, so you always start with a fair amount of brown sugar. Add in chipotle chili powder. Obviously, chipotle powder isn't traditional in Nashville hot chicken, but I love that kind of smokiness that it adds, so I'm gonna add equal parts cayenne pepper, and that is gonna add the base of your sweet and your spicy. I get real excited about Nashville hot chicken. I hope you get as excited as I do about anything in life. I don't get excited about much. Nashville hot chicken, that gets me jazzed. Pancakes too, that's a different episode. I'm gonna go ahead and add some onion powder and some garlic powder. I'm gonna add a little bit of smoked paprika. I really wanna get this smokiness on here to really like drive all of that flavor through the pizza. And then just a little bit of black pepper. And for my money, that's a Nashville hot chicken spice. So I'm gonna take, why did I say for my money? Like for your money, it's not, but me, like, come on. So I'm just gonna go ahead and whisk that up. You might get a couple clumps forming with your brown sugar, but just whisk through that. Anything in cooking, anything goes wrong, you whisk through the pain. So now we got that. Nashville hot chicken isn't just a seasoning blend that you like add to the chicken after it's fried. What you actually do is you take the chicken out of the oil and then you dump it in spices that have been mixed with more oil. So what I'm gonna do is add about half that spice blend to the bottom of a bowl. And then I'm gonna take a little bit of whatever oil you're frying it in. You can also add the hot oil that might make things a little bit easier. And so I'm just gonna add a little bit of peanut oil. You can use canola oil, vegetable oil. Yeah, actually, traditionally, you can use lard if you just got a big old tub of lard sitting in your home. And I'm not talking about your ex-husband, right, ladies? All right, so if you see, we got all that grease mixed up with the spices. We're gonna take our Hashville not Nuggies. I was gonna say Nashville hot Nuggies, but Hashville not Nuggies sounds like a great plant-based interpretation of the dish. So now we're taking our Emerge plant-based chicken grind. This is a product that I really love using because it's plant-based, but you can use it exactly how you would raw meat, which to me is like a relatively new development in the plant-based meatless community. Gonna go ahead and take an oyster shucker out of your pocket. Always keep one there just in case you come across some oysters that need shucking. You never know when you're gonna come across some oysters that need shucking. Happens all the time, happened to me last weekend. I was out hiking and I saw some oysters there. They're just like, hey, can you shuck me, bro? And I was like, bro, I got you, bro. I got an oyster shucker right in my pocket. So I'm just gonna reach in. I'm gonna take about 1 ounce little balls and I'm gonna form them into nuggets. This is exactly how you would use ground chicken to make non-plant-based nuggets, but we go in plant-based, so we're just gonna form them into little nugget-shaped discs, and then we're just gonna let them chill on a rack right there, and then we're gonna dredge them and we're gonna fry them, and then we're gonna submerge them in our delicious, spicy Nashville hot grease. Hot grease! My nickname in high school. It wasn't, but that'd be a good nickname for like a running back. I wish I was like hot grease. This is gonna take a while and I'm slow. Hey, can you guys do the thing where it like wipes and then I'm done all of a sudden? Where you already did the clock wipe thing? You did, oh! Look at that, we got a bunch of nuggets. That's fantastic. So now we have to make our dredging station. So we're going all plant-based on this. So what I'm gonna start by doing is just taking a bunch of flour. That's gonna be our dry ingredient. As you can see, flour is dry. You are very welcome for the scientific lesson. Thank you. So now I'm gonna add salt to that flour just to season it up a little bit, and we're just gonna give that a quick little whisk. And so typically when you're making fried chicken, you might use buttermilk or some sort of eggs and milk sort of egg wash situation. But since we're on plant-based, I'm actually going to use the Simple Truth plant-based ranch dressing mixed with a little bit of hot sauce as my wet ingredient. Yes, I did use an oyster shucker to open a bottle of ranch. That's called cooking. So we're just gonna dump some of that ranch in there. I'm gonna add a little bit of hot sauce to that ranch, and I'm just gonna thin it out with a little bit of water. We don't want too clumpy of a batter on there. There we go, that's looking nice and tight like a tiger. And so we're just gonna be shallow frying these nuggets in some oil. We wanna get it up to about 360 degrees. When I'm working with the Emerge plant-based chicken grinds, I really like to cook it hot, because when you overcook it, you lose some of that like beautiful juiciness that's really characteristic of this style of plant-based meat. So again, we're just cooking these exactly like chicken nuggets. So I'm just gonna take my little chicken-less patty and then I'm just gonna toss it into the wet. Always wanna go wet hand, dry hand, except for when I don't do that, then you don't wanna do that. And then just pop it back in the flour. See, we just got a nice even coating on it. So I'm just gonna take that, pop it back here. I wanna fry these in batches because you never wanna overcrowd your oil. That way you can get sputtering and you can get muttering, and you can get splattering, and you can, did I say muttering? All right, so we got our first batch of nuggets, nice and battered. So I'm just gonna go ahead and drop them in very, very carefully. It should only take about 3 minutes. These don't need to cook for very long, but we do wanna make sure that batter gets crispy. And that high heat is going to ensure that you get it there. And so while those are frying, I'm just gonna continue to coat into the flour and into the ranch. And what do you get? Nashville hot chicken, pizza, bagel, giant nuggets. So our first batch looks like it's done. And what I like to do when I'm doing Nashville hot chicken, I like to take it straight from the oil and then I just douse them right in that fat and spice mixture. This is gonna give a lovely coating on it. You got tons of aromatics in that spice blend. And then of course, all that sort of red tinted grease, just kind of shuffle it around. And then the heat from the nuggets is actually gonna kind of heat it up. And then you probably shouldn't just splash it around. That's what I'm gonna do. Get some height on it, come on! All right, look at that. Oh, this is one of my favorite colors in all of food right here, just that burnished, greasy red. And so now I'm gonna take these right out of the oil, and while they're still a little bit wet, I'm going to dust them with some of the fresh Nashville hot spice. And then these are good to go on our pizza. What, man, I just wanna eat them now. Well, now we gotta make the biggest bagel that I've ever made before. This is a bagel recipe that would typically make 12 normal bagels, but we are making one giant bagel for our giant Nashville hot chicken pizza bagel. Whew. It's gonna get fun. All right, so we have our warm water here. All we're gonna do is bloom the yeast. Yeah, it's just about 84 degrees right now, which is enough to bloom yeast. If your water's too hot, it's actually gonna kill the yeast, so you don't want that. You don't wanna murder yeast. This is like billions of yeast here. If the yeast ever decide to rise up and rebel against humans, you don't want to kill them. I'm whisking that yeast with some water and sugar, and the sugar is actually going to help that yeast bloom. The yeast is gonna eat the sugar, and then it's gonna little air bubbles, and that's gonna cause your bagels to rise. Bagels are a pretty standard yeast, flour, water, dough, typical to a lot of breads, but the thing that makes them a bagel is the method that you cook them. They're typically boiled in some sort of either brown rice syrup or honey syrup, and that gives them that signature sheen on the outside. We're making like a giant 2-footer, and I don't got a big enough pot to boil that in, so we'll cross that bridge when we get there. While we're waiting for that to bloom, we're just gonna get our flour. Yes, it's there. How did people do this? Is this how they do this? So now the yeast is blooming. All we're gonna do is turn the stand mixer on a nice low heat. And then we're just gonna pour in our yeast water. Go, 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 go. We're gonna need a lot of this by hand, but I just wanna get it into the stand mixer right now just to kind of create what's sort of known as like a shaggy dough in a lot of recipes. And then I forgot the salt. We're also gonna add salt in there. It's never too late, not too late. It's gonna get incorporated. Whoop. So we're just gonna unhook it, and then I learned recently that people take the attachment out before they take that out. So I'm just gonna use my hands to manually get all the dough in there. And this is where you really want to take your stance seriously. I know what you're thinking. Hip mobility, why does that matter in the kitchen? That matters so you can get your hips spread out wide so you can drive all of your power in there. If you've ever seen a football lineman do drills hitting the blocking sled, it really is the same motion as that, except you're going down. Cooking to me is a sport full of brute force and agility and hot, nasty, badass speed. You'll know the bagel dough is ready when you can't properly host your cooking show because you're too out of breath from kneading it. This dough is looking nice and elastic to me. We got some good gluten development. I'm just gonna ball her up. And now, I do that with a lot of cantaloupes in the store, and then sometimes I drop them and I have to pay for them. So I'm gonna take this, we're gonna give it a nice first proof. Just gonna get it kinda lubed up a little bit of oil in a bowl, give it a flip. I'm just gonna cover this, let it sit in a warm area for about an hour to an hour and a half until it has doubled in size, and then we're gonna punch it out, we're gonna punch a hole right through it, and then we're gonna bagel it. Wow, this is a lot of bagel dough. You know what they say, any pizza is a personal pizza if you're sad and willing. And so I'm just gonna take out that dough. Oh, it's nice and puffy. That is exactly what we want. I'm just gonna get it onto a pizza pan because what else would you use to make a pizza bagel? You wouldn't use a bagel pan. What does that mean? A bagel pan's not a thing. So I'm gonna take the dough, I'm kinda gonna press it out, and I wanna stretch it to the edges over here. We're gonna let this go through a second proof, so it's gonna look like it's losing its rise right now, but should rise back up by the time you throw it in the oven, then it'll obviously puff up a bunch more in the oven. So bagels have holes, bialys don't. A lot of people don't know about bialys. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna try and kind of punch a That's not gonna work. I'm just gonna form a hole in the middle of the bagel, kind of tuck the dough underneath. Yeah, there it is. That's looking beautiful. And so now we're just gonna cover it and we're gonna give it a second proof of just about a half an hour. So, guys, go do the wipe thing. Oh, hey, there it is, it's done. So now, like I mentioned before, bagels are typically boiled, but we don't have one of those giant industrial bathtub-sized boiling machines. And so what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna take agave syrup. I would normally use honey or barley malt syrup. It's very traditional. Like, who got barley malt syrup in their house these days? Since we're going like full plant-based on the recipe, I felt like I would avoid honey and use agave syrup. It really does the same thing in a lot of recipes. So I'm actually just gonna take some of that boiling water with agave syrup and kind of dollop it over the top. It doesn't get the same effect as boiling it, but if you bake it with a little bit of this water on it, you're gonna get extra moisture in that dough. So we're just gonna bake this off for about 5 minutes and then we're gonna get everything bagel seasoning on it. Stay tuned. All right, so we're gonna take this bagel out. You see, we got a little bit of caramelization already forming. Scorpion kick! I'm gonna brush it down with a little bit of coconut oil. Again, typically it would be an egg wash, but since we're going plant-based, coconut oil is a great way to add some browning and also give a little bit of something for that everything bagel seasoning to stick to. And then we're just gonna take a lot of this everything bagel seasoning, which has a bunch of sesame seeds and garlic and onion, and we're just gonna give a hefty sprinkling. Why am I getting so much everywhere? You don't have to do that. You can just do it from much closer. So now we're gonna take this, we're gonna fly it back in the oven, and we're gonna finish baking it off, and then we're gonna slice it open, we're gonna top it, we're gonna bake it again to have our twice baked giant Nashville hot chicken plant-based bagel. For our sauce layer, I'll be using Simple Truth plant-based buffalo dip. And to top our pizza bagel, the Simple Truth line of plant-based products also includes non-dairy cheese shreds and slices like these hot pepper cheesy slices we got right here. Typically pizza bagels, right, they are sliced in half around the equator so you get 2 halves of a pizza bagel. My problem with that, when you have something like an everything pizza bagel, the entire bottom of half, hello, does not have any everything bagel seasoning on it. My proposal to you all, because I'd like your feedback before I do this, is I'm gonna take off about a ½ centimeter to expose the bread flesh, thereby giving it the appropriate pizza bagel texture, but only leaving the flavored side of the bagel. Are you tracking that? Because that's what's gonna happen. There we go. Mustn't cut your hand. Yo, I'm terrible with a bread knife. And so now you're just gonna turn bagel around the knife. You should peel off all of its bread skin in one fell swoop. This is good. I'm glad we made this decision together, just you and me. Look at that. I'm pretty happy with this. There we go. Now we have all of our delicious bagel bread flesh exposed, and we still have so much of that everything seasoning on there. Now I'm gonna take all that delicious plant-based buffalo dip. Honestly, like, it's kind of a marriage of cream cheese and sauce, but it's also plant-based. It's actually made from cauliflower. Huh. I eat about 2 heads of cauliflower a week as well. My digestive system is working overtime. Yeah, we go hard. All right, so now we're gonna layer on our non-dairy cheese slices, and this got the hot peppers in them. So we're just gonna shingle these on, really nestle them into the dip. I use shingle as a verb a lot when I'm cooking, and I need you to know that. That is looking great. Hold on, yeah, don't get the paper. I have eaten this paper before. It just happens sometimes. And now, the next step, I'm just gonna start winging our plant-based chicken nuggets on there. God, I really want to eat one. You can just feel how crispy they are to the touch. This is gonna be absolutely incredible. This is like if a 7-year-old with a very attuned palate, if their fever dream came to life on what the best food is. Like a Jewish 7-year-old like me. Oh, and add a little bit of vegetables to it. You know, I love when you get that crunch of red onion on like a barbecue or buffalo chicken pizza. So for Nashville hot chicken, might as well do that too. So I'm just gonna dot some red onion around here, and then a couple green jalapenos there just for color, that little punch of spice. Also, pickles on pizza. What a great combination. You get all the starchiness, all the fattiness, and then especially with jalapenos, you're getting that little spicy crunch. You know what? On further review, I want more nuggets on there. You know, this is my pizza. I'm a nuggety guy. I want to get more nuggets on there. There we go. Now this is a Nashville hot chicken nugget, giant pizza bagel, chicken pizza bagel. But now it needs more onions. This is gonna be a thing where by the time I decide it's good to go in the oven, it's gonna be this tall. Now that looks like a giant Nashville hot chicken pizza bagel. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna put this in the oven for the 9,000th time today. I think I am developing carpal tunnel in my elbow. Was that a convincing joke? Oh yeah. Now that is a giant plant-based Nashville hot chicken pizza bagel if I ever seen one, and I have seen one, because that's it. But we got a couple more steps. I'm gonna take some of that spiced oil that we had from earlier. I'm just gonna give it a nice little drizzle all around with that. Oh, that is incredible. Now we just gotta hit it with the drizzle of that Simple Truth plant-based ranch. Hope my drizzling muscles are working today. Yep. Oh, the drizzling muscles are working overtime right now. The key is stabilize yourself with the quads, and then you let or do the walking. And that is your giant plant-based Nashville hot chicken pizza bagel. Wow! I cannot wait to get into that. I am absolutely starving. I can't believe I stared at these nuggets for so long without even eating one. That's never happened before. All right, so this pizza bagel looks absolutely incredible. I am so pleased with it. Like, it looks like a buffalo chicken pizza, except it's also a Nashville chicken pizza, so I don't even know what's going on. But I'm gonna go ahead and cut myself off a slice here. What a satisfying feeling that is. Whoa, 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 look at that. I could just eat this right now, but I wanna give you, the viewer, the most immersive eating experience possible, so we're going sport cam. All right, so I'm just gonna dive right into this. I think my plan, no, you know what? I think I can just fork a whole slice. All right, and just get her in there. What? That is a series of flavors that I have never before experienced in my entire life. And you, the viewer, we're here with the most intimate access to that experience. The first thing you get is that like classic Nashville hot chicken flavor. But then you get the creaminess and that like slight acid from the buffalo dip. That's fantastic. And then just like to cut through all that spiciness, that Simple Truth plant-based ranch, everything bagel seasoning on the back end just to remind you like, hey, this ain't no French bread pizza. This is a giant Nashville pizza bagel and you sure know you're eating it. Thanks again to Simple Truth and Kroger for sponsoring this video. Remember, the high-quality plant-based products we use today can only be found at Kroger, so order or pick up at your local Kroger family store today. And thank you for stopping by the Mythical Kitchen. We got new recipes out every week. We got new episodes of our podcast, A Hot Dog is a Sandwich, out every Wednesday wherever you get your podcasts. Hit us up on Instagram at Mythical Kitchen with pictures of your giant Nashville pizza bagel under hashtag Dreams Become Food. See y'all next time. You can cook up your own feast while wearing the Mythical Kitchen apron, available now at mythical.com.